Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hype, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball at 2, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. This is a very strange story, and this is about Diamondbacks Ketel Marte. We know that a few months ago, a fan in the stands said something about his late mother, and the fan got a lifetime ban, which I don't understand. I said that I thought that at the time, but I didn't do a video on it. I thought it was such a very strange reaction by MLB, why they did that. And now you're seeing all these very strange stories about this player. His home was broken into. He had to go on a restricted list. Man, a very strange individual, just on the surface. Now, there was a story, I guess, that came out about what's going on in the clubhouse. When teams don't play well and they start to lose, all this dirty laundry starts coming out in August and September and October, and this stuff is starting to come out about this particular player. And is brushed back by the media. I usually go after the media, but I think this is a little bit different. I think this is just a media person reporting what they're being told, what's going on in the clubhouse behind the scenes, and that there's a big problem in their clubhouse. You know, sometimes when a team doesn't play well, sometimes there's internal issues that happens behind the scenes. And obviously, this team was in the postseason 2 years ago, and they missed out last year. So this is a team that has a lot of talent, but they're regressing. Here's the headline from Awful Announcing. Dan Bickley stands by Diamondbacks reporting as fans rip negative Ketel Marte coverage. Quote, if you're a sports fan, you shouldn't have a hard time understanding why this story is important inside the clubhouse and why this isn't a media-driven narrative. And like I said, usually I go after the media, but I think the media is just reporting what's going on here. The Arizona Diamondbacks season is long over, but a battle's brewing in the Valley of the Sun over local media's coverage of all-star second baseman Ketel Marte. Marte has been a key figure for the Diamondbacks for 2 seasons now, not only because he's the team's best player and one of the best in MLB, but due to his peculiar approach to the long season. A slog made worse by run-ins with fans and personal adversity. After a World Series appearance in 2023, and I'm just reading this for the first time. I like to read it as we go along in the videos just to get my first reaction. Arizona narrowly missed the postseason 2024. Marte missed a crucial game, which I didn't know about, in the final week of the season with a lingering ankle injury, which led local reporters like Dan Bickley of Arizona Sports to call out his inconsistent commitment to the team. Those whispers percolated again this year as Marte missed games before and after the All-Star break. In between it all, Marte dealt with significant personal strife. A fan behind the plate in June insulted his late mother, which led to a defense by manager Torey Lovullo and a standing ovation from Diamondbacks fans. Now, like I said, I didn't talk about it, but I thought that was a very strange story. That he had that kind of reactions from many years ago, and you just ignore fans. You just ignore people saying stupid stuff, and he gets a lifetime ban. This fan, a lifetime ban. He should like appeal it. I would, but I wouldn't say anything like that. During the All-Star break in July, Marte's home was burglarized, which is a very terrible thing. All of it came to a head this week when Arizona Republic beat reporter Nick Picoro wrote that Diamondbacks players and staffers were grumbling about Marte's constant desire for time off. Now, they put him on a restricted list right after this because he was so frazzled by what happened at his home that he had to take time off. Fans online predictably came to a vigorous defense of their star player, despite the news coming at the end of a lost season. Star shortstop Geraldo Perdomo even implored the media to leave Marte alone. Now, Bickley is back with strong words for fans denying the reporting on Arizona's frustrations with Marte. And he's directing blame for the outrage back onto what he calls populist social media accounts that are feeding on anger toward reporters. Quote, first of all, this is Arizona, for God's sake. This is not New York. And I mean, how much pressure are they going to feel? Let's be honest. How much pressure are the Arizona people going to feel? And I would mention, online, a lot of times when people start complaining, all these accounts start complaining, a lot of times they're just alternate accounts. A lot of times they're alternate accounts. A lot of times they are bots. So just keep that in mind. And this is Arizona. This is not New York. How many reporters they have covering the Diamondbacks? Not a lot. Quote, the idea that this is our fault when we created this, obviously I take great exception to it, Bickley said on his local radio show on Monday. If you're a true Diamondbacks fan, you would want this context. I think so too. Here in New York, people would want to know about what's going on in that clubhouse. Despite selling off most of the team's stars at the trade deadline, Arizona won 9 of 12 games before Picoro's reporting dropped. Over the weekend, Arizona was swept in Colorado. Part of the D-backs fans' ire toward the beat reporter stemmed from their belief that his coverage killed the team's momentum. Well, that's a bunch of nonsense. But to Bickley, the timing is irrelevant because Picoro was reporting on feelings that had built up for more than a year. While Bickley understands why negativity around a longtime fan favorite who led the team to the national pennant would be a tough pill to swallow, he believes bad actors are building up online chatter about Marte's questionable habits. Quote, if you are a sports fan, you shouldn't have a hard time understanding why this story is important inside the clubhouse, why this isn't a media-driven narrative, Bickley said. And if you're really looking for the predatory people, look at the people online who are populists, who are posting and putting opinions out there now based on the way you are reacting, based on the way you, in your anger, are lashing out at the media. Because Bickley was the first to go out on a limb and challenge Marte a year ago, it is understandable that he would want to highlight his own reporting and defend himself. The added context dating back to last September also helps fans understand the latest Marte news is not random or intended to counteract the team's recent hot play. At the same time, it's more complicated than ever for a radio host and columnist like Bickley to locate the fans' consensus. Social media accounts and influencers influence the opinions of some fans. Others still get their coverage the old-fashioned way, in which case Bickley is their primary source. Some may not engage with sports content at all, in which case they likely judge Marte solely based on what happens on the diamond. All of it combines to take a story like this to an even bigger level. Now it's a full-blown media versus fans versus team showdown, less about Marte or more about alleged narratives and bias. Well, normally I fall on the side of the team. But in this situation, we have a bit of a pattern of behavior from Marte. He seems like a very overly sensitive player. Okay, everything seems to bother him. He seems to be a bit of a complainer too. Just reading this, just off of an impression that I have. Don't know the player, don't see him all the time. But if there are players on the team complaining and people on staff that are telling the reporters about what's going on behind the scenes about the player, you do take that to a certain degree. This is not New York, okay? There's not a lot of reporters there. So there might be a different kind of mentality talking to the media than it is, say, here. Maybe people, you never hear about the staff complaining about what's going on in the clubhouse. Very, very rarely. But if you're hearing from clubhouse people saying that there's a problem with a player, and it's in a small town, and it's in a not in a major market like Arizona and in Phoenix, you take that to the bank that there's a problem. And clearly there's a problem in this clubhouse to where, and then if the player doesn't want to play when they need him, that's a problem too. And I don't know if they should trade him. They probably should think about it. I mean, the Diamondbacks have been a very good organization, a very successful organization. There's no reason for them to put up with this negativity coming from the player. Right? And like I said, I'm very much not into the media, but this media in particular, I don't think is doing anything wrong. And I agree with him about the negativity. I don't know what influences he's talking about. He's just called them out. I certainly call out all the negative influencers that are online on the Mets side, like that dope Frank Fleming. Yeah, he's a negative force. within the Mets fans community. So, I will call them out. He needs to call these people out by name who's causing the trouble, saying that they shouldn't be complaining about what's going on with Marte. But I don't know. I mean, it's a very peculiar story. He seems like a very peculiar guy. That seems to be the word of this video. But thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2, and I'll see you later.